What's going on YouTube? Today I'm at Embassy Records and reviewing the Atom A7Vs. All right, so before we get started, I just want to talk about Atom as a company. I've owned the Atom A7Xs for about 3 to 4 years, and I've recommended them to a lot of my friends, and I've heard them at many different places. So the Atom A7Xs have been out for a long time, and they dominated the prosumer market. So a lot of people have them, and the big question nowadays is it worth to switch to the A7Vs? So stick around to the end to find out the answer. So before we get into the sound of the monitor, let's go over the look and the functionality you get with it. The look is very familiar, the same orange XR tweeter. The woofer is going to look a little different. Now it's going to be a mineral wool woofer instead of the carbon fiber. And luckily we still have front ports, which I really loved on the Atom A7Xs. These ports are going to be of a little different design to eliminate port chuffing. The one thing on these monitors I do miss is the front switch. Everybody loves that on the A7Xs. You can turn the monitor off so they don't pop when you turn off your system. And a little bit of the Atom S series stuff is coming down to these prosumer market, like the A control, this new tweeter, and the woofer. So the XR tweeter was redesigned, and same with the woofer. And luckily now the XR tweeter can be rotatable. So you can take this tweeter out and rotate it if you're gonna be placing these monitors on your desk or on your bridge flat. So on the back of the monitors, we got a lot more functionality now. We got 4 different points of EQ we can use to tune to our room. To start, we got the bass shelf. After that, we got a low mid filter, which they call the desk filter. This is often the most problematic EQ point when you're putting monitors in your room. Then we got a mid boost and cut, as well as a high frequency shelf. So next here, we got the voicing button. This is gonna give you 3 different modes. So the first voicing is gonna be the pure response, and this is gonna be Atom's flattest response. This is the natural sound of the speaker, and this is what I use to review these monitors. Next, we got the UNR voicing, and this is going to be Atom's signature response. So it's going to have a high frequency boost as well as a low boost, and this is going to give you more of a hi-fi sound, but they do not recommend mixing on this mode. So the next mode is the external mode. In order to use this, you're going to have to download the A Control app and plug in an Ethernet to both these monitors. And that will give you digital access to the back of the monitor, as well as you can do your own 6-point tuning. If not, the best part is you can download your SonarWorks measurement directly to the monitors, which is a big deal because if you use SonarWorks, it could be trouble sometimes if you switch to headphones, you have to turn off the measurement. So it's nice to have these baked directly into the monitors. Then we have your volume pot right here. I will say all the buttons and knobs on this monitor feel super premium. Then of course, famous to Atom, you only have XLR and RCA in. I don't know why they don't put 1/4 inch, but that's how they do it. Then at the bottom, we have our power on and off switch. As far as specs of this monitor, the main thing you need to know is that they play down to 44 Hertz and play up to 41 kilohertz. For a 7-inch woofer, these definitely do play pretty low. And I was surprised to find that they include on their website all the different measurements about this monitor. I don't think I've seen this in any other monitor. So that goes to show that they're confident in the sound and the response of these monitors. So getting into the most important thing about these monitors is the sound, of course. So the first impression I have of these monitors when I plugged them in is that the Soundstage is super wide and detailed. It's almost 3D. When you're in the sweet spot on these, like the Soundstage has a lot of depth and resolution to this. A lot of people say these about Atoms in general. Since I've owned the Atom A7Xs, those do have a nice soundstage and controlled soundstage, but it's not as front to back as these. These have a lot more depth to them and a lot more like controlled resolution. I feel like on the other ones, they can get a little brittle. These are way more soft and have, in my opinion, more resolution in the tweeter. So the tweeter upgrade definitely made a difference in the way they designed the waveguide. Once you get into the sweet spot level, I would say your ears have to be almost at the woofer. Once you hit that level, then the soundstage just really opens up and you hear everything as if you were seeing it. And me personally, I love a soundstage that really brings these speakers to life. And it really inspires you when you're mixing, like how you control reverbs and how you delay things. So I really love a great soundstage on monitors. So one thing I often do to see how the soundstage is projected is cover the tweeters and cover the woofers and see what is really giving it that width and depth to it. So covering the tweeters, the mids still give it that great soundstage and cohesion. So that's one thing I'm impressed by that usually doesn't happen. They usually rely on the tweeters to give it that width. So the mids, I have nothing negative to say about them. I love how they sound. They definitely don't have as much bite in my opinion as the Atom A7Xs, but they have a nice flat response. There's no scoop. They also do provide nice detail and fast transient response. So moving to the low mids and bass, I really love the performance of these speakers. They're fast, they're tight, they extend very low, You almost don't need a sub with these, depending on how you place them. So I set these up with ISO acoustic stands. I did them vertically, I did it horizontally, I did it without the stands, wide apart, close by in the middle. So I found that using them without the stands and using the desk filter gives me the sound I really prefer. It's a little more bassy, but I found it gives you a more cohesive sound. Since it's front ported, the bass really travels and you have a nice center image with the bass in mind. Usually it's just mids and trebles and the bass is kind of just wherever, but I really feel with these that extends low and boosts that image and gives it a lot more depth. This is of course preference on how your room is going to sound from room to room. This could be completely different. So overall, I'm pretty happy on how these sound. I've mixed some audio on these and it's translated pretty well. The functionality on this is great. I'm super happy that they've trickled everything down from the S series to these. These really give you the value for what you pay for these monitors. So of course, these monitors are not cheap. They come in at $1,600, which is gonna meet you at the prosumer market. Adam's always dominated this market with the A7Xs. There's nothing really else in this range besides maybe Neumann's. A7Vs are well worth the price. They pack a lot of features. I'm super happy that they trickled everything down from the Adam A7S series down to these monitors because they really pack a punch in this price range. So would you want to upgrade to these from the Adam A7Xs? I myself would probably say no. The sound on these is great, don't get me wrong. It does sound better. I would say these monitors are about 25% better than the Adam A7Xs with all the functionality, the better sound, but they still have the similar sound, and this could be all preference for you and how you mix and how your room sounds as well. If I didn't own the Adam A7Xs, I would definitely go for these Adam A7Vs. They're well worth the money. So behind me, we got the ATCs, and throughout this comparison, I was A-Bing back and forth to hear the difference between these monitors. And what you really get at the ATC price bracket is an incredible mid-range. The mid-range on these, you cannot beat. You can ask anybody. Everybody loves the mid-range on the ATCs. And honestly, the mid-range is what translates your audio the best if you focus on the mid-range. But I will say that Adam A7Vs really held up. Like honestly, for a fraction of the price versus the ATCs, the Adams really pack a punch. They extend super low, have an extremely clear and 3D image. They also translate your mixes very well. So overall, I'm super happy with these monitors. If I didn't own the Adam A7Xs, I would definitely go for these Adam A7Vs. And I will be reviewing the ATCs soon. I've really had some time to break them in and understand how they sound and what they provide. So if you guys like this content, subscribe, like, comment, and share. And I've hit over 1,000 subscribers. I'm super happy for every single one of you guys. So thanks.